Yo, Trump's got this FDA guy, Gottlieb. I'm not sure how you say it. But, anyways, this dude is about to do work. One of the issues that I've had, and I've been kind of frustrated about it, is during the campaign for the 2016 election, everybody was talking about the opioid crisis, and then all of a sudden it just went on the back burner. We've been talking about all these other things, which are very, very, very important. But the opioid crisis is huge. So finally, this guy Gottlieb is talking about how he's going to start setting up these meetings with different organizations and insurance companies, and just the way we regulate things. And it's kind of good and kind of bad, and hopefully some laws change and things like that, because they don't have too much regulation over insurance companies. But it seems like this guy actually knows what he's talking about and is starting to see the actual issues. So one of the things that he's talking about is educating doctors. So that is huge. The biggest misconception out there is that doctors know everything. They know everything about physical and mental illness. They know everything about every single pill they're giving you, and that's not the case. Um, a lot of doctors are very good at what they do, but a lot of them are not educated in addiction. This is a fact. My mother, who works in the Central Valley of California, she actually goes to different medical institutes to train doctors and nurses about the disease of addiction. I personally have experience with this. When I was in my prescription drug addiction, I was going around to different emergency rooms and doctors and hustling them from pills. And while some of them just knew and they just wanted to get me out of their office, a lot of them had no idea. So I'm glad that he's talking about actually educating more medical professionals about what addiction looks like. But when he's talking about this too, he's talking about us as a country actually trying to decrease the number of prescription opioids that we're actually giving to people. So in the article that I'll link in the description, they talk about how in 2014, about 240 million opioid prescriptions went out. And it might have actually been more, but 240 sounds about right. Then it talks about how 23,000 people died from opioid overdoses. That is a huge number. So any of you who have seen my video talking about is addiction a disease and things like that, a lot of the general public thinks that addiction only has to do with heroin, meth, and cocaine. The fact is that more people are dying from prescription drug overdoses than any other drug out there. And a lot of the times is because people are being overprescribed for these medications. So one of the quotes that Gottlieb has is that nobody should be prescribed 30 days worth of opioids for a tooth extraction. Like, that is bonkers. Like, what he's saying is correct, but it's crazy that doctors do that. And just to let you know, that is personally how my addiction started. When my son's mom, when she had my son, she had a C-section. They gave her like hundreds of pills when she left. And she didn't really take them. So I was like, what do these things do? And I just started taking them by the handfuls to work. And that's how I got hooked on these medications. So it wasn't really her, but they were in the house. And I was looking for something new to get me high. And it's because there were so many of them. So anyways, he's talking about cracking down. And I wouldn't even say cracking down, just doing the right thing when it comes to prescribing these things. And hopefully insurance companies, what they're talking about doing is trying to get insurance companies to start regulating what they're going to pay for when it comes to prescriptions. And there's a huge problem out there. And part of it is that people start off with prescription drug addiction. That's why they move to heroin. But this is definitely just one of the many angles that we need to tackle this from. Like, there's a lot of different angles, but we need to start focusing on one and then moving on to the next and then focusing on the next one. And I think this is an amazing start to doing it. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time to end this opioid crisis, but this is the first step. Now, also in the link that I gave you in the description below, there's also a woman who's being interviewed talking about the opioid epidemic, and she's talking about how you can really see in different parts of the country where the epidemic is the most dense and how it's involved with places that the economy sucks. They got hit hard by the recession. They are manufacturing cities. There are people who lost their jobs, who were laid off, unemployed. And they talk about how the opioid crisis is bigger in these areas. Now, I'm glad that she's saying that, but they're not really talking about that middleman in between. And that middleman in between is depression. They're not talking about depression. Mental illness is one of the leading causes for addiction. And why isn't this lady talking about depression? It's a clear cause and effect. They lose their jobs, they get depressed, they find drugs. It is boom, boom, boom. So that's the reason why I started the Rewired Soul. We need to start talking about all this stuff because one usually causes the other. If we can start working with these people who are getting hit hard by economic troubles, then we need to start treating them for depression. Let's start treating them for depression so they don't try to self-medicate with drugs and alcohol, which then leads to another health crisis because people are becoming addicted and then dying. So when we look at all these different things that we're doing to stop this addiction problem in the United States, we really need to be looking at mental health too. So I encourage you to stay in touch with the news and what's going on when it comes to the addiction or mental health problems in the United States. Check out the link that I provided, read this article, and let me know what you think in the comments. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I want to hear what's going on in your area. Are you in an area where there's economic troubles? Do you have any stories about what happened when you went to a doctor and were overprescribed narcotic medications? I want to hear from you. Leave it in the comments. So, remember, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, you need to get your butt over to my YouTube channel. Did I say YouTube? I meant if you're watching this on Facebook, you need to get your butt over to my YouTube channel and subscribe because I'm doing videos like this all the time. But like I said, we talk about the problem, we focus on the solution. So I'll see you next time.